Hi everyone, happy Monday. It is August the 9th and I'm coming to you live as I do every Monday night for some live crafting. I'm just going to give it a few minutes for Facebook algorithms to do their thing and to notify people that I am here. If you are joining me, please share the video. I do a draw every week and I send out the cards that I will make tonight to one person who has shared the videos. Last week the lucky winner was Sonia, so Sonia, you should be receiving those in the mail anytime now. Tonight I have a card that I have pre-designed for you, but I thought I would also try and do some gift packaging on the fly, which I have not pre-designed. So a lot to take in tonight, and I'm going to be using the new Sweet Little Stockings stamp set from the now live mini catalog. This is the July to December 2021 catalog. It is active now. It is probably my favorite catalog of the year because it has all of the holiday items in here. And for the first time ever, we have a second celebration happening right now. For those of you that are new to Stampin' Up, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to flip the camera around and show you some of the things in the catalogs that are important to note. And then we're going to get to crafting. Okay, so the camera is flipped. Hopefully you can still hear me. There's no issues there. Just making sure everything looks good. Hi Debbie, hi Sonia, thanks for sharing. Okay, so the mini catalog, like I mentioned, is mostly holiday themed. It is my favorite catalog of the year, and I know I say that a lot, but this truly is my favorite. If you know me, you know that I love all things Christmas. And so this book is especially special to my heart. Like I love it. So like any of our catalogs, you open it up and there is a table of contents. It lists the product suites, some host rewards, and then there's an index at the back. There is also a Q&A with Stampin' Up co-founder Shelley Gardner, and then Make a Difference. So Stampin' Up is big on philanthropy, and so if you are to purchase the Strong of Heart stamp set from the mini catalog, part of the purchase goes towards heart health. So in this case, $4 from each stamp set sale will go to supporting heart health, which is fabulous. So then we go through and it talks about our kits. So kits are a great way for those of you who love to craft but don't have a lot of time to do that to still enjoy creating. They are mostly all-inclusive kits. They'll come with your stamps, your inks, and everything is pre-designed for you. You just really need to assemble. And then we get into some of our product suites. So how you would read a suite of products is it's going to tell you what the name of the suite is, and then down here in the description it's going to tell you what the total price of the suite is, and there's one line item number. And then on the flip page, don't mind my little sticky notes, it will tell you what is included in that suite item number. So if you were to get this one, for example, you would get the Frosted Gingerbread bundle, which includes the Frosted Gingerbread stamp set and the coordinating dies. You'd get the Pretty Pillow Box dies. You would get the, what's it called here? Peppermint, Gingerbread and Peppermint Memories and More card pack. The card bases and envelopes. You're going to get the Real Red Ruffled Ribbon. You're going to get some acrylic shapes, some craft cardstock, which is awesome. There's some mats to use with our embossing paste, which is fantastic. And then there's fabulous DSP. So that is a suite of products. Now, if you don't want the suite because you don't want all of these items, you can then get them by line item, each individual piece. So that's really how you read the catalog. If you're like me and you like to have a hard copy, you don't want to see it online, and you haven't yet received a copy from a Canadian demonstrator, I would be happy to send one to you. Just send me a note and I will get it out to you. And then as you flip the pages, it actually shows you in greater detail what those stamps look like. And then there's some other coordinating sets. So I'm not going to go through the whole catalog. I just wanted to sort of highlight that for you. But I am going to show you this suite that I'm going to play with tonight. So it is called Sweet Stockings Suite, and it is just too cute for words. Seriously, if you are an animal lover, you want to have this cute little suite of products in your life. So you can see some of the samples with the products. Adorable, right? And then when you flip over the page, here's what's included. So you have the sweet little stocking stamp set, which we're going to use, as well as the stockings dies. There's some felt, there's some enamel dots, there's some ribbon, and then there's adorable DSP. So let's go ahead and get creating. All right, so this is the card that I created for us. And I honestly did this in no time at all. And I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but oops. The stocking is actually that felt that I talked about in the catalog. So I don't know how well that's going to pick up on the camera, but I'm going to show you how to create this. Now, one thing I realized when I was done assembling the card is I feel like the old olive needs something. It's missing something. So we're going to add to it today. So I'm starting with a card base. It is basic white, measuring 8.5 by 5.5, which is our standard. I'm just going to fold that in half, and then I like to give it a good crisp edge. So that's just my bone folder burnishing the edge. So that's our base. And then our old olive layer is 3 3/4 inches by 5, because I wanted that slightly wider border showing around there. But I'm going to do some stamping on this piece, which I didn't do on my sample. And I'm actually going to pull in the stamp set. So this is the sweet little stockings that I talked about. How cute are these little guys? So adorbs. And I'm actually going to pull in, I think, the little greenery leaf, the pine leaves here. Actually, no. You know what? I'm going to pull in the little present, I think. So these are photopolymer stamps. If you're new to stamping, there are 2 types of rubber stamps that Stampin' Up! Sells. So photopolymer are these clear stamps. They are sort of static based, so they just peel off the back and stick to your block, and then when you're done with it, you just peel it off and you're good to go. The other type of stamp is a red rubber stamp, which is a traditional stamp, and it's mostly what people think about when they are thinking about stamping. I don't happen to have one within arm's reach, but that is the more traditional. The plus side to the photopolymer is you can see where you're stamping, but the plus to the red rubber is you get a sharper image. So it's just a personal choice. Some stamps only come in rubber, some only come in photopolymer. So you just have to read the description and it will tell you what type of stamp it is that you'll be purchasing. So I am stamping tone on tone here. So this is old olive ink on old olive cardstock. And I'm just randomly stamping these presents. No real order. Some of them are going to get covered over, so I'm not too concerned with the ones in the center, but I do want to create that edge. How was everybody's day? If you had a good start to the week. All right, so I'm almost done. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And I'm going to attach that to our base now. And so I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal to do that. There we go. Try and center it as much as possible. And then give it a good rub. So then the next thing I'm going to add are the snowflakes here. And so these, aren't they pretty? I think the camera's showing you that opaly effect. They're just so pretty. They're laser cut snowflakes. They are part of the Whimsy and Wonder suite of products. They're called Wonderful Snowflakes. And so you can buy a package of them. It includes 24 of these little laser cut snowflakes. And so to use them, you simply pop them out from the backing. They are not, there's no adhesive on them, so you do need to use adhesive. So I'm going to use 2 of them. And I find with these, I'm going to use my Tombow liquid multi-purpose glue, but you'll notice the center is the same shape as our dimensionals, so they work really well with the dimensionals. So I don't know if you can see that. So the little hexagon shape, it is actually perfectly sized to go on the back of the center of the snowflake. But I want these to lay flat, so what I'm going to do is actually use my Tombow, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that glue in the center here. I'm not worried about the spokes of the snowflake because we're going to layer things on top, so it'll be well secured. And then I'm just using the edge of the card, top and side, as a guideline so that the snowflake tines sort of line up there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with our second snowflake. And this one's going to go in the bottom. So again, I'm just lining up at the side so that the snowflake's not hanging off the edge of the card, but comes all the way to the side and bottom. Super pretty. I'm going to close that up for a moment. So now we need to do some die cutting. So I'm going to pull in my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which I'm sure you've seen me pull in before. I love this thing. And I'm going to pull in some basic white cardstock, but this is going to obviously be too big to fit in the mini. So as a general rule, you want it to be about 3 inches wide. So I'm just going to cut this to be 3 inches. So there we have our basic white. And then I'm going to use the Scalloped Contours dies. And this is one of the scalloped rectangles from that set. So then I'm just going to run it through the machine here. Oops. And you can see we have a perfectly cut scalloped rectangle, and it's got a beautiful stitching detail. So we've got that. And then I'm just flipping my cutting plate over because you'll see that they start to bow. So if you just flip it over, it will straighten back out for you. So that's great. So then I mentioned in the catalog there is felt, and you would think that felt would be a pain to work with, and you're not wrong. Felt can be a pain to work with, but we are going to actually cut it out on our machine. So I had a scrap that I was going to use to demonstrate, which of course now I can't find. So let me move some things around here to make sure it's not hidden. There it is. See? I knew I would find it. Alright, so this is cherry cobbler felt. So we always like to coordinate. And I'm going to show you the felt pack actually. So this is the felt pack. So it comes with Old Olive, Cherry Cobbler, White, and Bumblebee felt. So it coordinates with the suite of products. And I just cut a strip off of each, the Cherry Cobbler and the Old Olive, because obviously I don't want it to be super wide going through there. So I'm going to use the Stockings dies, and I'm going to use several pieces here. I'm going to show you these. So this is the die set, and I've got the large stocking, which I'm going to use right now, and I'm just going to lay that on the felt the same way I would a piece of cardstock. And then on Old Olive, which I don't know if I can get on here as well. Let's see. I can. So with the Old Olive, I'm using this piece, which is a stitched stocking top. I'm going to cut that out. And then I've got a stitched stocking toe, which I'm also cutting in the Old Olive. So just like our paper, we create that sandwich. So we've got our cutting plate, we've got our dies, and then I'm just going to get that started. Crank that through. You can hear the cutting plate sort of crackling. That's okay, it's normal, so don't freak out if you hear that on your own machine. And when I peel these off, you can see that the dies cut out the pieces perfectly. And how adorable is that? So then we have our little toe that we're going to add. And then we're going to add our top. And guys, I don't know if you can see this, but even on the felt, you get that amazing stitched detail. Like, seriously, how adorable is that? I love it. All right, so what I did find is regular adhesive obviously doesn't work on this, like your seal isn't going to work. Hi Brenda, thanks for joining. So you're going to want to use your Tombow again. Now the thing with your wet glue is it can seep through the felt, so you don't want to use a lot or very heavy amount, and you don't want to push too hard when you're actually attaching it. So I'm just giving it a light coating so that it's not soaking through too much, and then a very light hand when I attach that. So there's our little stocking all attached, ready to go. So I'm going to attach our scalloped rectangle to our card base. So for this, I'm just going to use my seal again. You could use your Tombow if you wanted to do that. And I'm going to layer that on top of the snowflakes, trying to center it in the middle as best as possible. There we go. And then we're going to put our stocking on top, sort of lined up at the bottom left of the rectangle, and I'm going to use my Tombow again to do that. So again, not too heavy, but enough that it's going to stick. And now we're going to do some more stamping. So I'm going to pull in that scrap from our rectangle, and I'm going to pull in our little doggy head. I mean, how cute is he? And I'm going to use Memento ink to stamp him. So we're just going to stamp on the scrap of white. And there's our little doggy. I mean, he's super cute as he is, but I like to color, so I've pulled in Crumb Cake Blends, and I like to always start with the dark when I'm coloring. So I'm going to use the lines that Stampin' Up! Has given us to add some darker shading, and then I'm also going to create some shading around the ears where it would overlap his face, and then his little paws. And then I'm going to fill that all in with the light crumb cake, blending out any harsh lines. So it just creates a little bit of shadow and light contrast for you, and gives the image some dimension. And I want this doggy to have a little stripe of white down his nose, so I'm just going to create my own little lines around his ears, and then we're going to color his paws, blending in those harsh lines. There we have him. Super cute. And of course we have a die for this, so I'm going to pull in our machine once again. We'll put our paper on there. This is the die from the Stockings dies to cut out our little pup. Those little fuzzy ears. Give that a run through. There we go. Isn't he cute? Oh my goodness. I just can't even. He's just so cute. And so we're going to attach our little pup to the stocking. So his paws are just over top of the top of the stocking. We're going to use dimensionals because obviously the stocking has some height, so we want to make sure that the pup also has some height. So I'm going to use 2 dimensionals, one on either side of the head. Give us paws there. Alright, so there's our little pup sticking out of our stocking. So cute. Now I will say, when I was creating my sample, I toyed with the idea of adding a little Santa hat, but I didn't love it. I don't know, what do you guys think? I thought about, you know, sort of a skew on his head or sideways. I'm not 100% sold. I don't know. What do you guys think? Thanks for joining, everyone. Don't forget to share the video. You'll be entered to win the cards that we're going to make tonight. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think about the hat. Yay or nay? I can't decide if I like it. It's kind of cute. I just don't know. Okay, well, you guys are thinking about that. I'm going to continue. So now I'm going to pull in from the stamp set the Very Merry greeting. And I'm going to pull in a basic white scrap. Debbie says nay to the hat. Sonia says it's cute with the hat. See, I'm torn. It's cute. Well, how about this? We did one without the hat, so we'll do this one with the hat. So this one I'm going to do with the glue. And which way do I want it to go? This way? Yeah. All right. We're going to try it. Let's see how this looks. Give it a go. All right, there's this little hat. All right, so I've pulled in the Very Merry. I'm going to pull in Cherry Cobbler ink so it coordinates with our stocking. And I'm going to stamp on a piece of basic white. This is actually just a scrap I pulled out of my pile, and it is 1 inch wide, which is more than I need actually. So I'm going to stamp more towards the bottom. I left it wide on the previous one, but I think I'm going to narrow it down on this one. And I am going to use my paper snips to just cut across. And then we're going to come up the side. And then I like to do the banner ends. And I'm just going to use my snips to do that. If you have the punch, it works really well. But if you don't have the punch, paper snips are a great alternative for that. There we go. And so we're just going to use dimensionals to attach that to the card, overlapping the stocking a little bit. Like so. Super cute. And then of course, I always have to have bling. Love, love, love the rhinestones. So I'm going to grab my take your pick tool, and I'm going to put one right on the top of the stocking, or on the hat, and then we're going to give One there. One there. I feel like we need another one. All right, so there we have our cute little stocking. How adorable are they? Seriously love these. What do you think? Do you like the presents as the background better or the plain? I think they're both nice, but the presents just adds a little something extra, I think. All right, so that's project number 1. Now, project number 2, if you've been with me from the beginning, I mentioned I haven't done it yet. So this is also part of the suite. This is the Sweet Stockings 12 by 12 DSP, and you can see so cute. I love it. I'm gonna open this. I'm gonna show you the paper. So our paper has cute little images on the front, and then it's got some more subtle images on the back. So this is the first one. I mean, how cute are those? You get the cute little Christmas mouse, the cat in the box, and I don't know about any of you other cat owners. My cat, the second we start opening presents on Christmas Eve or on Christmas morning, excuse me, she's in the box. This, like, the second there is an empty box, she is in there like a dirty old shirt. We have this paper here with the animals in the stockings. This one here, this little cat, the black and white one, looks just like my Mika. And then I have to say, I love this cat. Look how grumpy he looks. He's got the flat ears, just too precious. And then on the back of that paper are some fun squiggles and stars. Next, we have the Playful Animals with their Christmas decor. We've got the little dog with the wreath, the cat with the antlers who looks none too happy, and a little bird carrying a love note. Cora, your cats love empty boxes too. Yeah, it's definitely a cat thing, but it's just too funny. And then this, I don't think the camera picks up the color very well. This is Cherry Cobbler, and it's so pretty. And then we have some stockings. And what I love about these stockings, where's my die? So your dies will actually cut these stockings out perfectly. And there are 3 stocking sizes in the die set. So you'll get all 3 of those to cut them out. So you don't have to create your own stockings. You can just cut them out of the DSP. How awesome is that? And then on the back of that piece, so this is a beautiful evening evergreen background with bumblebee stars. And again, I don't think the camera quite does the colors justice. And then, okay, how cute is this little corgi in a sweater? Isn't he awesome? And the little fishbowl and the kitty cat. I couldn't resist this paper. It's just too adorable. And we've got some lovely green stripes. And then last but not least, just some Christmas lights. And then the back is some beautiful pool party plaid and stripes. So let's show you how to create some gift packaging using our papers. So I think I'm going to use this one. I'm just going to put these to the side. And I keep my DSP in their sleeves. I just find it protects it a little bit better. And then I just take it out as I need it. Okay, so let's do this. So when I create gift packaging, I like to create not just boxes but also bags. And so sometimes you need a tall bag for you know, a perfume, maybe a lotion, any number of things. So what I like to do is actually create my own bag. And so I want my bag to be about 2 inches wide, about an inch deep, and then I need a little fold. So if I do the math, that's 2 and 2 for front and back, an inch each, so that's another 2. And then I want about a 1/2 inch for my tab to be able to seal it all. So that's about 6.5 inches. So I'm going to cut my paper to 6.5 by 12. And then I'm going to go ahead and score my paper using the light gray blade at 2 inches, 3 inches, and 5 inches. Nope, and then 6 inches. So again, I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. Maybe the lighter side's better. Sort of. So you can see my score lines. So that's where we're going to fold. And then we need score lines across the bottom as well. And it all depends on how big you want your box to be, or your bag to be. So I think I want my bag to be I'm going to say 9 inches, maybe 8 inches. So we're going to cut it at 9 inches. There's a little bit of trial by fire here. And I want it to be now I have to think about this. It's been a while since I've made a bag. I think I only need it to be 1, so we're going to go 1.5. Oops. So I'm going to score it all the way across at 1.5. And I think that's going to work. So I'm going to put my trimmer to the side. And then we are going to fold along all of those score lines. So you can see that it's not going to be a very big bag, but it is going to be tall because we're going to fold here. So what we actually need to do is take our snips and along the bottom, sorry, let's fold that line too. So we're going to cut along the score lines up to this center score line. So there. There. And this little piece we could actually cut right off, like that. So now, when we close the bag, oops, we actually have to do some trimming because I misjudged that. It should have only been 1 inch. It's going to give us some flaps to close. So I'm going to just trim that by 1/2 inch, or 1/4 inch actually. I think that's what I need. Yes, so 1/4 inch. Perfect. So now you might be wondering what I'm going to do with the top. So I'm actually going to cut across the top as well. And I did miss a score line. So let's put that on there. So this one I actually want to be a little bit longer. So I'm going to do a 2-inch score line. There we go. Okay. And again, we're going to cut along this score line right up to the one that we just did. right. And again, we can cut off this little tab, so we don't need that. So it's taking shape. Have a good foundation here. Tap that in. All right, so there's our sort of shape, and you might be wondering what's going to happen up here. So you have a choice. You can cut off these side tabs, or you can leave them so that they sort of fold over and then hide the contents. And what I'm actually going to do is use the tag topper punch on the top of the bag here to create a scalloped edge, and then we can tie some ribbon in it to hold it closed. So I'm going to grab that behind me. And the punch I am using is actually one that's retired, but there is still a tag topper punch in the catalog, so just use the new tag topper punch to do the same thing. And I may not have left myself. I'm going to punch that top, and then we're going to do the same thing on this piece. So I'm going to put push that in. I always like to flip it over to make sure that it's centered. Give it a snip. So now, when everything lines up, we've got a pretty little top. So I'm going to grab my Seal Plus to start assembling this. Just to give it extra hold. So what I like to do is go along the tab that we created. And then I like to fold the box flat, or bag flat, to line up that seam, and then it lines up perfectly along the side. And then we're going to fold in our side flaps, and then we're just going to add a little bit of adhesive to our inside flap here. And then again on the flap here. To create the bottom of our bag. So again, we're starting to take shape. You can decide what you want to do with those flaps. I like to leave them, again, just so it hides what we're putting in here. So let's say, for example, I decided I want to give somebody some Stampin' blends. It's probably not a great choice because they're a little bit long, but I can leave the flaps in there, and then my bag will close around them. Let's find something that actually fits. We're going to give somebody a time bow. There we go. So now when I have my flaps, my bag seals around them and they can't see inside. I'm going to take that out before I seal this. So I'm going to grab a piece of ribbon, and we want to coordinate. So I don't have cherry cobbler ribbon. I'm going to grab a Whisper white, or a basic white ribbon. Oh, just dropped my ribbon. All right. Now that I've retrieved my ribbon, I think I've shown you guys this before. So if you want a ribbon and you don't have the color, you can actually use your Stampin' blends to create it. So this is our basic white crinkle seam binding ribbon. So I'm going to take a cherry cobbler blend, and I'm using the dark color and the brush tip, and I'm just going to run it across the ribbon. To create my own custom color. You can also run it across your ink pad, but I find the blends work better because they are alcohol based as opposed to a water based ink. so they dry faster, and then you don't get it all over your fingers when you're manipulating the ribbon afterwards. It's probably more ribbon than what I needed, but we're gonna color it all. There we go. So now I have my own custom cherry cobbler ribbon, and I am going to actually put that through the holes here. Now I could tie this with a bow, but what I actually like to do is loop it through, and then I'm going to grab my white baker's twine, and I'm going to come underneath the cherry cobbler right to the top here, and I'm going to tie a bow using the baker's twine. So it pinches the ribbon together, so they sort of create like a little tail, and then I'm going to use the baker's twine to create the bow. So it's just an added level of decoration. And then you can play with your ribbon and your bow to get them to the length you desire. And then just decorate your packaging the way you want. So let's go ahead and stamp some more cute little stockings. And I think let's stick with our little doggy, but let's stamp a stocking. So we're gonna stamp I think we're gonna go with this one. There's our little stocking. Mount that to a block. So again, I am stamping in Memento ink on basic white, both the dog and the stocking image. And then we're going to do some coloring. So because we used cherry cobbler ribbon, I'm going to pair that with cherry cobbler in our coloring. And I think I'm just going to actually do the top. And the toe in the cherry cobbler. So this is the dark, and I'm just using it across where the decorations are on the image because they are darker, so I want them to sort of stand out. And then I'm going to fill the rest in with the light. And up to the top here. All right. Love it. I think I might actually leave the stocking white. We'll see how I feel once I get the dog colored. So again, I'm going to stick with the same dog, so I'm going to do the same coloring just to tie it together with our card. So I've got the dark crumb cake first, and then we're going to go back in with the light. I love this little dog. He's just so cute. Makes me think of my very first family dog. Her name was Sparky. She was a lab collie cross. She was black and tan and had these fluffy ears and these little dainty paws. She was a great first dog. All right, so let's cut this out. So I'm just gonna give these a trim with my snips so it fits on our machine. So then I need the medium stocking die, like so. We're gonna cut out our little pup. All right. So there's our little image. So cute. Attach that to our stocking. So I'm just going to use dimensionals to attach this to the bag. All right. And then again, dimensionals for our little pup. Oh, so cute. Oops. Oh, it's so cute. And then if you wanted to add a tag to the bag, you could do that. But because we're going to give it with the card, I don't think it requires it. But there we have a little card and matching gift bag using the Sweet Stockings. So that's our projects for tonight. What does everybody think? So I'm going to come back around to the chat. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed our projects. Like, I'm seriously loving them. They're just so cute. As I mentioned, it is Celebration. So this is the first time ever Stampin' Up! Has had a second celebration in a year. Normally Celebration happens once a year and that's it. And it's like the best event of the year. I had my Celebration brochure beside me and now I can't find it. But it is your opportunity to earn exclusive free products by stocking up on the items that you need anyway. So it's a great time to stock up on your cardstock, your white, your black, your vanilla. If you're looking to do your holiday cards, now's a great time to shop because every $60 you spend during Celebration is going to earn you a free product from the Celebration brochure. And actually, I'm going to flip the camera around so that you can see the catalog. So give me a sec. All right, so here is the Celebration brochure. So every $60 you spend, which means if you spend $120, you get 2 items. If you spend $180, you get 3 items. And the brochure is filled with more ideas and inspiration and then products that you can select. So the first page is going to be this bedazzling 6x6 paper. And the catalog really just doesn't do it justice. It's sort of sparkly and textured. Almost looks like sequins on the paper, so you can get that for free with a $60 order. Next, if you've seen the mini catalog, you'll know that we have this adorable penguin bundle. It's got a stamp set and then a coordinating punch. Well, guess what? Now we have coordinating DSP. So you can only get this paper if you spend $60. We have stamp sets that you can earn for free, and these are not in the catalog, so you cannot buy these. You can only get them with a qualifying order. Then last week, if you watched my live, you'll know that I used this designer series paper on my project. It coordinates with the hand-penned petals stamp set that's in the catalog. Christmas Card Club, which I've been advertising for a little bit now, is open for registrations. It is a 3-month program for September, October, and November. You will make 36 holiday cards by the end of it using the Peaceful Deer bundle from the mini catalog, and you're going to get a free pack of the Peaceful Prints DSP when you subscribe to Card Club. So that is another freebie. Counting Sheep, adorable little stamp set, and then you can also get the dies for free, so you can get both of those with $60 orders. So $60 for the stamps, and then another $60 if you want the dies, and you're going to get both of those for free. We have Textures and Frames stamp set, and then there's level 2 rewards. So this would be minimum 120 order. So instead of picking 2 of the $60 rewards, you would get just the 1. So these are dies that coordinate with the shaded summer stamp set in the annual catalog. And then this is the Delicate Dahlias, which is a beautiful stamp set at a level 2 reward. So there are additional rewards, not just shopping during celebration, but if you host a party, either in person or online, and your party reaches $200 in orders, you qualify for Stampin' rewards. At the $200 mark, it's a 10% stamp reward that you get in free product. At $375, your Stampin' rewards increase to 12%, but you get a free exclusive stamp set. So you can't get the stamp set unless you host and hit that reward. So that starts at $375 and goes up from there. And then of course, the best way to enjoy celebration is to join my team. So you can join Stampin' Up! For $135 in Canada. There is no tax and no shipping if you're in Ontario, as well as some other provinces. And you get to choose $165 worth of product, your choice. There's no limits to what you can choose. And you're also going to get to select a free bundle in addition to your $165. And so there's a limited number of bundles that you can choose from. They are listed in the catalog, and I do have the details up on my website, but it is by far the best deal in the catalog. I mean, you're going to get $165 worth of product for $135. You're going to get the additional bundle, which can go up to another $75, and there is absolutely no obligation to sell. When I joined Stampin' Up!, I certainly didn't start my journey as wanting to run a business. I joined for the discount. You're guaranteed to earn 20% discount off your own personal orders and 20% commission off any orders that you might get from family and friends, and it only goes up from there. So joining Stampin' Up! Right now is a great thing, and I have loved my time with the company. I celebrated 10 years this year in March, and I can plan to continue for another 10 years or more because it's just such an awesome company. So that is my live for tonight. Thank you for sticking with me. I truly appreciate it. If you have any questions about the catalog or joining my team or Christmas Card Club, send me a note. If you would like a catalog and you're in Canada not working with a demonstrator, again, drop me a PM, send me an email, and I would be happy to get that out to you. Thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful week. See you next week. Bye-bye.